You are focused on the wrong things in retirement and it's stealing your joy. Because retirement isn't about killing time or filling up your calendar, it's about building a life that truly brings you happiness. There are 5 areas that you need to master. And if you don't, the freedom that you've dreamed of will slip through your hands. I'm going to show you how you can stop drifting, cut out the noise, and design a retirement that is rich in meaning, energy, and connection. Hello, my name is Jason Byantz. I'm a former analyst and certified financial planner. And today I want to go over the 5 levels of retirement planning. But instead of talking about investments and tax, I want to talk about the things that really matter. I want to talk about the things that bring people joy and happiness in retirement. I want to start with the most important, which is the foundational level, and that is people. There was a Harvard study that started in 1938. It's considered to be the longest study ever on happiness. And what they ended up finding out was people, the connections and relationships we have, is the highest determining factor of your joy in retirement. One of the professors on the study, his name's Robert Waldinger, had a very, very important quote that I want to read. He said, "Loneliness kills. It's as powerful as smoking or alcoholism. Close relationships are what keep us happy in retirement." The study actually showed that people who had close relationships at age 50, it was a higher determining factor of if they would be healthy at age 80. It was even more of a higher determining factor than if your cholesterol was good. So you could have bad cholesterol, but really good relationships with people. And that would most likely mean you would be healthier than somebody who had good cholesterol and not strong relationships. So, what are some practical ways that we can do this? Well, we can start with our inner circle. And that inner circle are our family and friends. And now you may say to me, Jason, I've got some discord between some family members. And that's where I would encourage you to really take that humble approach and go try to restore and strengthen those family bonds, right? A lot of times it's just pride that's in the way. It's something that happened many years ago. And then sometimes it's just, hey, I don't really know how to connect. I don't know how to connect with my kids. I don't know how to connect with my grandkids. And for that, I've got an easy solution. Just be curious. Just ask a lot of questions. Give them a call or go right over to their house and just find out more about their life. And this can be especially true for grandchildren. I know that that gap in age may seem like it's a little awkward, right? But if you're just curious, if you ask a lot of questions and you really care about what's going on in their life, you would be amazed at how quickly your relationship can grow. And then when we move out from those core relationships of our close family, we talk about our friends. And a lot of times with this next kind of circle of people that are around us, friends, it just happens so that life hits. We get busy and you'll run into them in the store and you say, "Hey, yeah, we need to schedule that lunch." Well, I'm here to tell you, schedule that lunch, okay? Even if you're the friend that's always calling and always kind of driving this forward, you'll both benefit from that. And it's so important for your overall health and satisfaction in retirement. And next, we have more of those community members or neighbors. We have a client who, during COVID, they all went out into their driveways so that they could kind of hang out, but they would be able to keep that social distancing. And they've kept that going. I think it's either Thursday evening or Thursday afternoon. They all kind of grab some charcuterie and some snacks and some drinks, and they all go out into their driveways, and then they just all start interacting. And it's a wonderful thing that happened, kind of like happenstance. But you can do that. You can go ahead and be that kind of ringleader with all of your friends to keep that going, to keep those relationships vibrant. And then, in terms of our circles of connection, we can move even further out to people that are just acquaintances or maybe even strangers. And then here's some practical advice is to just be kinder than necessary. There's that wonderful quote that says, "Be kinder than necessary, for everyone you meet is fighting some type of battle." And I think that it can sometimes be overlooked, those little interactions inside of a store or at church or in the neighborhood. They can really have a profound impact, not just on the person that we're communicating with, but ourselves as well. So, I want to take a moment to invite you to click the link below, and we would love to send you a free copy of my brother Justin's book, The Great Inheritance: 7 Steps to Leaving Behind More Than Your Money. And this book really gives you a very simple framework for focusing on those things outside of your money, your family, mentoring, leisure, all of those things that are very, very important. So we would love to send you a free copy of that book. So click the link below and we'll send that out your way. All right. So we covered the foundation in terms of a healthy retirement, and that's the people, the connection, the relationships that we have. Well, the next level, the next area that we really want to focus on is purpose. We see a lot of retirees struggle in this area because their purpose is not defined. And so their gifts are not being used. Time is kind of just slipping away, and they're not finding joy in this time of life where they really should be having some of the most fun. And you wonder, hey, how can I have purpose? How can I really, take advantage of this time? Well, I think that volunteering is a really, really important way to do this. And you can volunteer in a lot of different ways. Maybe it is at your local church. Maybe it's at the local schools where it's mentoring younger children. Maybe it's mentoring children or even teenagers or young adults in the field that you were in. Maybe you were an engineer or a teacher or something like that. And you can find ways to use your gifts to pass it on to the future generation. And then there are a whole host of various charities that you can get involved in. And one thing that my dad did was he got involved with a homeless ministry. And so for the last 14 years, they've really been focused on helping people get out of that phase of life. And it's a really beautiful way to give of yourself in retirement and really have purpose. And I'll leave you with one last example. We have a lady named Nella, and she has a really, really unique and personal way that she has purpose in retirement. She likes crafts, and so she makes these handmade greeting cards and she hands them out to people. So she gets to use the artistic flair that she has. And what it does is it encourages people to write handwritten notes, which then again helps them connect with people and build and strengthen those relationships even more. So it's just another really neat way that you can give back and have purpose in retirement. So as you probably noticed, I'm keeping with the P alliteration, right? What is the next P word that we're talking about in terms of the 5 levels of retirement planning? Well, it's the physical level. So, in terms of the physical level, we've really got to get up and get going. And I think one of the most practical pieces of information that I've ever had in terms of physical fitness or exercise is find something you don't hate. All right. Me personally, I hate running. I've got a bad ankle, and every time I'm just out there pounding pavement, I can't wait till it gets over with. So, years ago, I actually saved up and I bought a rowing machine. And I really like my rowing machine. I use it almost every morning. And it's one of those forms of exercise that I just don't hate. And so I actually do it. And so something else that you can consider is starting off the morning with a very, very defined kind of discipline or schedule. So it's getting up, stretching. Another real good thing to do is to do breathing exercises, get out into the sunlight, whatever it is that you find enjoyable to start getting up and getting moving. And then we want to have physical fitness, some type of exercise, a part of our daily routine or our weekly routine a couple of times a week. And one thing that's very, very interesting that is being shown for people in their retirement years is strength training. So not just cardio and getting that sweat on, maybe it's the treadmill or going into the pool, but it's actually lifting weights. It's actually strength training, which helps with longevity. Staying physically fit can really help us in a lot of ways because especially if you end up getting together with people, if you join a workout group at the YMCA, something like that, it creates a type of accountability. And not only that, it gives you that social interaction, which helps us with the relationships and the people, which is the foundation part of all that we need to be focusing on. All right, so we covered people, relationships, having purpose, staying physically fit. And next, we're going to talk about philosophy. And you may think to yourself, Jason, why are you talking about philosophy? Well, number one, I needed a word that started with P, okay? So that's why we went there. But if we actually look at the Greek, the etymology, where this word comes from, in Greek, philos means the love, and Sophia means wisdom. So philosophy actually means the love of wisdom. And what I'm trying to get at here is keeping our brains active, okay? Continually learning, continually challenging our brains so that we keep our mental acuity and our cognitive abilities. And this can take the form of a lot of different things. Many people I know love to read, and they are just insatiable readers. Some like the old school hard copy. Some people like the new Kindle or some type of digital pad that they can read their books on. Another way to do this is puzzle. Again, you can do the old school, actually tangible, puzzles that you can hold in your hand, or there's plenty of puzzles on iPads and whatnot that can keep your brain fresh and challenged. And then there are a lot of ways that we can just learn a new skill. There are a lot of resources that are available to you. I would encourage you to check out AARP's Senior Planet. AARP has something called Senior Planet, which has a lot of free courses that you can take. And there's another option for you. If you've got a college, community college, or university near you, there's something called the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. And this Osher Lifelong Learning Institute partners with various educational institutions to offer free classes to retirees. So you can go in and learn about a whole host of subjects to keep your mental acuity and to make sure that we keep that love of wisdom, that love of learning going on long into our retirement years. All right. And our last level, our last area that we want to focus on is a lot of times the most fun, and that's play. You may be thinking to yourself, Jason, that's what I'm talking about. I worked all of these years. I just want to play and have fun. And that's good. Another term for this is leisure. It's active, but it's non-productive. You're not trying to get a task done. You're just enjoying it to enjoy it. Now, some people really, really enjoy the arts. Maybe it's playing in a local band or playing up at the local VFW. Maybe it's getting into art classes or doing paintings yourself. I know people that really, really love to tend to their garden. Maybe they're growing vegetables, or maybe they just like beautiful flowers and plants. Then you often hear people going golfing, going fishing, whatever it may be. Find out that type of leisure that really brings you back to childhood, brings you back to your younger years where you just did it because you enjoyed it. And you'll know that you're really enjoying it because time will just pass by and you'll really get the true benefits of leisure, of play. Well, I hope that this list helps you to really focus on the things that can bring you true joy in retirement so that you can make the most of these years. And I want to encourage you to click this video here where I go over the 7 things to sell before you retire.